Hi, my loves. Welcome back to the Starscartel channel. If you don't know, I am Star. Today I'm here with a vision. In this vision, I saw a wealthy woman going out of her way to get advice from me. The scripture comes from 2 Kings 4, 8 through 17. One day, Elisha went to Shunem, and a well-to-do woman was there who urged him to stay for a meal. So whenever he came by, he stopped there to eat. She said to her husband, I know that this man who often comes our way is a holy man of God. Let's make a small room on the roof and put in it a bed and a table, a chair and a lamp for him. Then he can stay whenever he comes to us. One day when Elisha came, he went up to his room and lay down there. He said to his servant Gehazi, call the Shunammite. So he called her, and she stood before him. Elisha said to him, tell her, you have gone through to all this trouble for us. Now what can be done for you? Can we speak on your behalf to the king or the commander of the army? She replied, I have a home among my people. What can be done for her? Elisha asked. Gehazi said, she has no son, and her husband is old. Then Elisha said, call her. So he called her, and she stood at the doorway. About this time next year, Elisha said, you will hold a son in your arms. No, my lord, she objected. Please, man of God, do not mislead your servant. But the woman became pregnant, and the next year, about that same time, she gave birth to a son, just as Elisha had told her. Okay, so this is a message for someone. You have been seeking out God's guidance. You have been seeking out going to different people for God's guidance. And you know, God is saying that when you help others, that is how you receive. You know, just like in this dream, in this message, in the scripture, this woman was well off. She was married, and her husband weren't wanting for anything. And she invited Elisha to come to her before he even promised her anything. It wasn't a situation where he had to tell her, well, if you do this for me, I'll do something for you. He didn't say anything like that. She just genuinely offered for him to come and eat with her. And then she genuinely offered for him to have a room at her house so that whenever he was visiting them, he had somewhere to stay. And then he eventually said, you know what, she has been so nice to me out of the kindness of her heart to call her and tell her to come here so that I can grant something for her. A lot of people don't realize this, but when you show kindness to God's prophets and God's servants, when you show kindness to God's pastors and God's preachers, God blesses you for them on their behalf. Because God says that, you know, when you receive some kind of blessing from a pastor or a prophet, you are to give back. And you don't have to give back in vain thinking, well, if I give them this, I'm not going to get anything back. If I give them this, then I'm going to be out of luck. If you think that way, that means you don't have faith in God. Because God is not a man that he will lie. Once you give, you receive it back tenfold. So this woman gave him a room. She gave him meals after meals after meals. She gave him a room and had a bed in there, a table in there, a lamp in there, had a servant coming to him and everything. And God blessed her with something that she thought she would never have. She told him, don't lie to me. You don't have to lie to me. She wasn't even looking for him to bless her in that way. She wasn't looking for him to intercede for her. But a lot of prophets intercede for people. You know, and that's the message. You know, for somebody, there is something that you have been wanting. There is something that you have been asking God about. You have been questioning God about this thing. And God is saying the reason you haven't received it is because you haven't given anything. And it's not that this woman gave anything with this idea. If I give this, I'm going to receive this. She just gave out of her heart because she was allowing this man in her house because she knew that he was a holy man. She urged him to stay for a meal. She wanted him to come by every time he was there. She asked her man, he is a holy man of God. Let's make a small room for him. And, you know, by her doing all of these things, God shined his light up on her. And this is a message to somebody You are trying, there's something that you want. You may be well off. Yeah, you got money, but it's something that you want that money cannot buy. And God is saying that you have to, don't just, open this book and go to the scriptures you want to. Read the book and see what's going on. Because in this situation, this well-off woman, she gave to this man. And she didn't, she didn't just literally put money in his hand. She gave him food and gave him a room. And God blessed her for it, But that's the message, okay? For somebody, you are seeking this kind of advice. You're trying to see what it is that you have to do in order for God to give you the blessing that you seek. You want to know how you get this blessing. It's something that you want. And it's something that money can't buy. It's something God got to bless you with this. God is saying you got to give to receive. That's the message. Thank you guys for watching. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe.